Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 75 we're 3/4 of a century into I Just Got My Kid to Sleep, episode 75. Episode 75. This is the part of the show sponsored by the number that's a Sesame Street. I never got that was a joke until an adult. You ever not get Sesame Street jokes until you're watching them with your baby? Those sponsorships are fake. Yeah. The letter M hasn't sponsored anything. Number 3, not a sponsor. They're not putting any money. Here's the real way it was publicly funded, so they don't get sponsors from numbers, but now they're getting cut. So maybe those letters are finally gonna have to start paying up. Sesame Street, such a racket. Gotta cut them. No, I love Sesame Street. I think when my son was a baby, when he would watch his second birthday, we all were on Zoom because of 4 years ago we were in the midst of a global pandemic. In the midst of it, so when he was turning 2, we did a Zoom party, and we played this song by Maren Morris called Oops, Oops, Wait, Aha. And Jack would dance, and everybody on the Zoom kind of like sang and danced too. Maren Morris was there on the YouTube, not in real life. We didn't even try. I don't know. Now you look back and you're like, maybe she would have wanted to do it live for free, which is, pandemic times. She might have been like, yeah, let me do that. But we sang a lot of Oops Oop Wait Wait Aha. He also loved the Elmo Happy Happy Dance song. And those were his favorites, and he gets to have his favorites. I really love the Alien one with when they were doing numbers. I can't remember it anymore, but there were like a couple aliens and it was a good song. And then there was a Cookie Monster parody about Jurassic Park that was lit, if there's no other word to put to it. There was a cooking show. This is Sesame Street Breakdown by Michael Pasek, sponsored by the letter S. No, this is for real. I mean, it's all real, but there was a cooking show by the Cookie Monster. We had a friend, and they cooked stuff. And Cookie Monster wasn't that good at it, I think. I haven't watched it in a long time. I've always, like, when he first started watching Sesame Street, he was young, like too early to be watching TV, probably. Like, I remember at his 1 year doctor's appointment, we got to the very end of the appointment, and the doctor was like, now he can start watching TV. Now it's okay if he watches TV because he's 1 for like and we had to really fake like we hadn't already done. Like, what? Now? That's crazy. Oh yeah, we can watch TV now. That's so exciting that we can start now. No one told us that in the waiting room. We should have went to the class, but there was a baby care basics class, and we didn't go. We went to the breastfeeding class. Very important. Breastfeeding is very healthy for the baby and very important. Then we went to another one, I think sleep or something like that. And the baby care basics one was on like the day before Thanksgiving. And I was going to Whole Foods to pick up a turkey, and I was like, we're not going to make it. And I always thought that we should have, like, day 1, I was like, oh, we missed some stuff. He slept on a Batman towel his first night. That's the basics that we didn't take that. Like, they tell you, you get like a baby shower or whatever, and like what to ask for, what to buy. And we had like one sheet. We owned one fitted sheet for his little whatever it's called, not crib, but the thing that you put him in, to go to sleep. And he like ruined that, not ruined it, but puked on it right away first night at home. And then we had a Batman towel, and then we were like, we should buy more of these. So that was probably a baby care basic. But yeah, we had him watching TV, not like watching a lot, but it was on, and I remember very clearly, because I thought I was winning. You know, it's weird as a parent when you're like, oh, I wasn't winning. Like, I wonder if the stuff's gonna be that we didn't know that's bad, that we were like, this is great. You know, like when Jack was like able to roll over before he could roll over, we learned that you shouldn't put him on his stomach to sleep because some kids. That's the answer when it comes to any sleep rule. It's like, well, some kids don't make it. That's very sad. Let's take a moment. No, some kids don't, but like my mom, because like my mom would like talk to us on the phone or whatever, and she'd be like, "Why don't you just put them on the stomach? Whenever you guys were fussy, I would just put you on your stomachs." Oh, okay. So you were like, let's just see what happens. No, they didn't know back then. You know, what's the stuff that we didn't know? Like what? You're putting him on his back? No, you got to hang him from his feet and swing him around to fall him asleep. That way the blood gets spread out. Otherwise, the blood gets all just laying there, and then they're not going to be athletic when they're older. I don't know. But I remember when he was pretty young watching Sesame Street with him because I would get broccoli in his face. I think we started eating food last like 6 months, 5 months for. I don't know. We didn't go to the class, but I would mush up broccoli and I would eat it. I would eat it, and then I would not. I wouldn't put his in my mouth all the time, but like I would get his part and just put it in his mouth, and if the TV was on, it was way easier to get his vegetables done. You know, for breakfast, we just had not even an omelet, just broccoli in there, get it in, and he's seeking his revenge now. He doesn't. Hard to get him, and I used to be able to do the trick. I've talked about the trick before, where I'm like, "This is just for me." Like I make him some healthy food, and I'm like, "Don't touch these. These are for me." But he doesn't. He's his own person now. He doesn't care about that, which I'm happy. He's his own person, but I also wish he would want the things that I wanted, because then I could trick him into eating more vegetables. I remember at Thanksgiving, well, our whole family was there. My older brother has 3 kids, and I was sitting next to Jack, and I was like putting stuff on my plate, and he was eating. I was like, no, that's mine. That's mine. That's my turkey, Brock. Stop. And my brother looked at me. He's like, dude, he's eating. And I was just like, that's acting right there. Thank you, Leslie Kahn Institute. Also, other places I took acting class in Chicago. That was in LA. Great place. If you're looking to take acting classes to forward your acting career, Leslie Kahn in Los Angeles is great. Or just make your performances more convincing as a parent, Leslie Kahn. You're going to do a lot of script work, but you can extrapolate from there. I grew so much. But yeah, that was what we would do. And so there was an age where Sesame Street, up to 2, definitely into it, maybe 3. And then it was just gone. And I didn't know it was going to be gone. And it was gone. It was just gone. Like it was on like I could get it on the computer. I have I'll spring for Max. You know, I didn't do Baby Care Basics. I got a budget. It was the classes are free. If you're expecting, your hospital has free classes, and you should go. Even if the one of you can't go, especially if like maybe the mom can't go, you should go, man, and you should take notes. And you should bring them home to the mom, and you can read them off. Then teaching is the best way to learn it. And then you tell the mom, and that's the only time in your life you get to tell her what to do when it comes to babies. No, you could tell her everything you know, and whatever. Go to the class. Here's what's great about classes. If you don't, you're there because you don't know. So like when you have the baby and you don't know, it's kind of stressful because the baby's like, you didn't go to the class, and you're like, it was the day before Thanksgiving. And but in the class, if you go to the class and you don't know something, you're just like, whenever I didn't know something in the class, I was like, well, this is the right place for me. I thought about going back to school recently. We'll get to it later. I had a couple things. Oh yeah, so if I ever have another child, I think I definitely want to go to that class, but I think it might be awkward because my son might be like, where are you going to go, Dad? Where are you going? And I'll be like, I'm going to this Baby Care Basics class. Why? Well, that way I know how to take care of a baby, Well, what did you do for me? I'm going to go to this class. I sang a lot to distract myself from the failure. when my son was a baby and he would scream, while I was changing him or whatever, I would pretend to be like a field goal kicker in the NFL, being like screamed at by fans, and I just gotta keep it going. Just gotta follow through. But you're not doing anything wrong when you're screamed at by a baby. Babies just scream. You're not doing anything wrong if you're screamed at by anybody. Maybe they have a problem. That's what we should all remember. That's the lesson of the day. If someone's screaming at you and you're not like on fire and they're like, "Hey, get on off fire." That's not what you would say. But then I think it's their issue. And if we could all take a step back and just know that when someone's screaming at you, they they're the they're going through a thing. Maybe it's caused by what you're doing, but if they're screaming, they gotta learn how to. Their first step isn't to get you to change; it's to get them to change. And that might not be the best time to tell them, but just knowing it can sort of feel like you're walking on air, clouds, walking on water, like Jesus. I don't know. But I thought about going back to college. I'm just saying that so I don't lose that track because sometimes I lose the track of it. And I got to look over this way to speak directly into the mic, or I can look this way and talk this way. I could put the mic differently, but this is how it's arranged. We tried a bunch of other ways, and I just think this is the best so far. The first time I ever used this mic, I felt like it was a little hot, but now it's a little not hot. Should I have Jack on my podcast? I'm thinking about it because these are getting later. No, tonight it was earlier, but then he was like, "You ever like get your kids to sleep right?" And you're like laying there, and he's just chatting away. We started doing this game, right? Oh yeah, I missed Sesame Street because it's gone. He didn't go back. Like when I watched Sesame Street as an adult, I was like, I know this already. But I think at 3, I would have been like, no, this is helpful. Like let's get into more of this. And puppets, bring them on. But he was like, for some reason, it skewed younger. Why does that? How does that show? Like they have famous people on that show. It's like Saturday Night Live, but for kids. Why does it? Maybe it's so educational that kids can be like, I'm not in school yet. So, but it's skewed. He was so young when he was like, I'm done with it. And there's other shows he's held on to longer. Um, like I thought I would get to go back and watch them all because like HBO Max had them all, and I was like, oh, we can start from the beginning. And I showed him the old ones. He's like, that I can tell that that's not for me, you know. And then we just you can't binge watch stuff with a baby or a kid because they like we would try. I tried to do like Peppa like that. I was like, all right, you want to watch Peppa? Let's do it. But we're gonna finish Peppa. It's gonna feel like I did something. And we got close, and then he would list the episode he wanted, and I had to go find it. Those times were so simple. Those days were so much simpler. Oh my! If you're in that place, I guess every time you look back, I think when he's 30, I'll look back and be like, man, it was so simple when he wouldn't go to sleep. Now it just feels so complicated. It's just like constant failure. Not really. Like I don't need the messages. I know everyone sends me lots of messages after this and comments, but I don't need. I don't feel like obviously enough. It just feels like, um, you know, I I don't know. I felt like in the beginning when there were and I don't know if it's this, but this is getting real. This will get real quick. But not always. I'm saying a lot of stuff in my brain, not saying it. But when Jack was born, there were 2 of us all the time, right? And I feel like that's a good number for a baby or whatever because you can trade shifts. One of you can sort of take a lead, and then the other one can follow, and the other one can take a lead or whatever. And there's like more of a schedule. And then, but even when it was just me when he was younger, we had like, we had we had a time. I think he just doesn't need as much sleep. And no one told me that was going to happen. I guess it was baby care basics. Like, there got to be a point where he wasn't going to nap. And I was like, I can do that, you know? And then it got to the point where he's not going to nap, but we're going to still try to nap at school. I'm working through where all this, like, where this all came from. All of this, like, um, this sort of mess. It just seems like he's great, right? I'm great. He eats, we cook, we eat, play a lot. Um, but I just feel like I gotta start bedtime about 3:30. and that feels early because he'll get out of school at 2:15, and so I'm gonna be home by 3:30. 4:30 maybe. Tomorrow is his last night before being in school, right? And school starts at 7:30, 7:45. So his mom's like, he wants to have dinner with him and, bring him back at like 6 p.m. Separate households, just catching up. It's fine. We're better. I don't know. 6 p.m. And I'm like, if I get him back at 6, I'm going to have to like give him a bath and get him to bed in like an hour or two to get to bed by 7 or 8. And I guess food will be gone. This is just thinking out loud. This isn't thinking to myself anymore. And so I could do it, and it could establish a good pattern of like once we take a bath, that starts it out. I think getting to the bath sometimes can be the hardest part. It's just he feels like there's a thing that he has to do, and then he convinces me, and I'm like, yeah, you probably should do that thing. He's such a good negotiator. That's what it is. He got smarter, and I got stupider. Anyways, that's boring. I don't know if it's boring. It's just like, I think the answer is just say no and do it. But that's what we did tonight. I was like, all right, straight to bed, no books. But we were laying there, and we both know that something's not there. And then he's like, oh, we didn't read. And I was like, I had to pretend like, oh yeah, we didn't read. When I was like, there's no way we're reading books tonight. But we did, and then it was another long time before. Cause like, okay, you get your kid to bed right away. Good. Do they fall asleep? That's my question. My kid falls asleep pretty soon. I fall asleep. That's the goal. I think I gotta wake up tired and then go to bed tired, so I fall asleep right away. So that way, if he doesn't fall asleep, I don't even know, and I'm not affected mentally. Is this where the roots come from? So yeah, Sesame Street's out, and I missed it, and I'm not gonna have another kid just to watch Sesame Street again. But I think it was in a good place when he was watching it, and I hope it's still there. But yeah. What was I talking about? I thought about going back to college. I was watching some stuff on the internet. Internet's too long of a word. Can we just agree to that? Social media too long. Like television went to TV right away. Within years of television beginning, it was called TV. Watch this on TV. Watch this on TV. Now it's like I watch it on the internet. I watch this on Instagram, TikTok. I mean, you can abbreviate it, but if everyone's not into it, it kind of sounds like you gotta be really cool to abbreviate something that nobody's abbreviating yet. You want to try? Let's all try it and we'll reconvene and see where we're at with that. I was watching this on the Insta, still kind of long. The Gram. I was checking out the Gram. This is a great talk, but even those are kind of done by people who are cool. They're just cooler. I need a lot of people to use an abbreviation before I feel comfortable. Before I feel using that abbrev. See, it's not. I can't do it. I can't. It's. I need to see it on late night television. I need it to be lit. I just used that for the first time earlier in this podcast. I need to know that everyone's using this slang. Because here's the thing. It's not that I don't understand. I can pick it up right away. I was an English major, I started reading comic books for the first time. So I get culture, right? I get it. I get the things that but I feel like there needs to be and maybe this is just a personal thing that I'm growing through. I was going to say I'm glowing through. No, like maybe there's just a person, like a thing that I'm getting through where it's like, I need to give myself permission because I feel like someone else needs to give me permission to say words like lit. And I think that's kind of true, like, I don't think it makes sense. Like when I was in high school, my science teacher was super smart. Like he applied for some like Rhodes Scholar it was like some really good fellowship that hard to get, and he got it. And he read us a little bit of the paper he wrote, and I was like, wow. To 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 think like that and then to write like that, you have to know those words, and I think you got to like practice them a lot. And wasn't even close. And that's when I kind of like decided to I didn't think I decided it, but I think comedian's a good job for me. Or a novelist, because no one's going to listen to my set and be like, he needs to elevate. Some people do. I wrote an email list recently, email newsletter. It's not really a newsletter. You basically take a thing and write about it. It's great. Subscribe. It's in the link. It's in the link. It's in the, I don't know where it is. It's on the, where would you subscribe? That's a good question. I think it's on my homepage, michaelpasek.com. But it's a gift that I give to you. And it kind of just, this guy emailed back. It's like, this is funny, but you use the word like way too much. And I was like, I just did it. I didn't even write that. I do use like a lot. But what am I going to do? Says. I says. So I says to the guy, what is this? The 40? I need someone to, Michael. I said, I don't think I'll ever say said. Do I ever say said? So I said, it just feels like too much of a setup, you know? Where if I'm like, if I was like that, you know, I think I can get away with it. Because if like means you don't even have to say it, you just say you were like that. I was similar to being like the state of what I said I was like. Anyway, yeah. I thought about going back to college. I got a degree. I have one degree. And when I was getting my first degree, only degree, my dad really encouraged me to pursue other degrees, my father, because his big thing was like, oh, college was expensive. Let's, get something that earns money directly related to the college experience. Like I earned money and I use my English major sometimes, when I don't use like so much, or when I justify my use of like because it's like, well, this is the way I talk, and stand up and writing is portraying a person and a voice. And so using like a lot is my voice, then like I'm going to do it. Like I don't hear it all the time, but then I do. Um so he really encouraged me to when I first went to college to take like pre-med stuff because he thought that long college would be a good idea. And Xavier had a big, what's went to college, had a big pre-med program. And I didn't apply to get into that program. I kind of applied late or decided late, all the late things. And I just never had the dream to be a doctor. I guess there's a lot of money. Well, that's what I realized recently. So I never worried about money until Tuesday, I think, is when I really started to worry about. No, it was Saturday. Never really worried about money till Saturday. Not that I don't have money. This isn't ask for money. It's just like when you look at the future, right, and how much kids and family and stuff. Kids are the best. This is the thesis. Okay, kids are the best. Families are the best. Having a home, like I went to mass. I'm Catholic, and I saw like two parents, and there were 5 kids, and I was like, that's so fun because if you want to be an active parent, you can play with one, and there's still 2-on-2 to play against each other. And if you don't, you can sit back and watch 2 try to beat 3. You know, this is the whole way I view parenting. Like, what's the 2-on-2, 2-on-3 going to be like? And I was like, how fun, right? And I was like, well, that you're gonna money, that costs money for sure. And that's the first time I was like, oh, if you had a job with like a set salary and Benny's, I can't even say Benny's. Benny's been around forever. Get some Sally and Benny's. It would be more not that you should ever, I don't think anybody, I know a lot of people that have a lot of kids that don't have like a ton of money. I don't know, a lot of people in general. Well, once they have a lot of kids, that number grows. But like, I feel you'll feel more like at ease or whatever with where you can live and how you want to live that way. Because once you start spending money, you can spend money on private school or private, whatever, private, or nothing private. But anyway, I was like, oh, I was listening to this talk. Now it was a tube. See, you can't do it with YouTube. No one does it with YouTube. I was listening to this tube. It was a short on the tube, and this guy was giving money advice, and this girl was like, I'm a surgeon, I make this much a year, and I'm going to get married or whatever, and this guy doesn't make anything. And I was like, oh, that's a lot of money. And my dad, when I was a kid, told me, you could be a surgeon. And I was like, oh, that was pretty smart. Anyway. And I looked into it. I asked ChatGPT And they put out a big, outline of how I could do it. And then I found out that it would be a lot of time, which I'm okay with the time, especially sometimes as a parent. You really think like if you had an excuse like to go to college, that that might feel good too. Being around your kid is nice, but when you're doing it all the time, all day, every day, it's like maybe I should get a degree. I always thought that about stand up. Like I used to think when I had needed a break from stand up is when I was like maybe I should be a math teacher, cuz nobody wants maybe some people want to be math teachers, but I don't think compared to my job that it's what I would want. But you can always see the glamour, the grass is always greener on the other side of the math chalkboard. My son starts school on Thursday, and it's an epic drama. He was supposed to go to a specific school, and we had some back and forth on the enrollment agreement that delayed it, and then all of a sudden everyone went on vacation, and we missed whatever deadline. And then someone emailed me from vacation being like, yeah, he's not gonna go to school here now. And so I was like, oh, well, first I initiated the email because I was like, these schools start this week. So if he's not going there, we gotta know. And they're like, oh yeah, he's not. It's gonna be okay. The school we live really close to a really nice public school, and we're gonna, save a lot of money. And he'll be near his friends. And he doesn't really know. He thinks he's going to another school, but I'm sure he'll take it some sort of way. Anyway, sometimes you get really personal on here, Michael. Someone told me that recently. Like it's so personal. Well, when you just start talking, it's gonna come out. I mean, because what's the purpose of this really, right? If we just look at this podcast, you probably thought this if you've listened to all of them. Part of it, I have realized I do cover stuff again because who knows when who's picking up. Welcome to the people who just joined in from Kansas City all the way throughout that area. I was in Kansas City at the Kansas City Comedy Club where I didn't know this. I was gonna complain about a thing, and then I realized that some people like think it's really like then they get messages like, "Are you that it's not a real?" See, as a comic, when there's a chance to sort of say something kind of funny, then we say it, and it might sound like we really have stuff. Um, no, I was supposed to get paid a certain amount based off the gross ticket sales, and then I was told, no, 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 it's the ticket revenue. And I was like, well, why on the contract doesn't it say that? And then they got a little flustered and angry. And I was like, it's okay. It's okay. And they're like, well, there's taxes. And I was like, taxes 22%. And they were like kind of flustered. And, I don't really partake in certain activities that might distract me from seeing details all the time. But if you did, if you drink a lot or you smoke a lot, you might. So I try to be cognizant. Not that it's their problem. I feel like some people would just be like, it's not, it's not your problem. But I'm also like, well, I'm also saying to myself, that's better than right? Well, what if I want to work there again? It's just like I feel similar to the state of being where I I should just sell enough tickets to where I have someone in my corner that that would enforce it in a way where they would just have to agree to the terms. Or like when someone books me, they really look at the terms because I would just sell so many tickets that they have to. Or that someone would want to make sure I got what I wanted because they wouldn't want it to be bad. Or just to like, this amount of money isn't a big deal. Maybe that's why I started looking at career changes. Because I was like, why do I feel this way over 22%? And if you were a surgeon, I think you get covered. People are paid by insurance. I don't know. You get your money, right? So that's why I looked into surgery. We found out that's where it was from. When you get ripped off and you tell them it's okay, you're like, well, what job would I have? They get paid no matter what. It wasn't a lot. It was just like during the summer and the fall, like early fall, it's lighter anyway. But we sold some tickets. All good. Kansas City, if you're out there, thanks for coming. Thanks for buying tickets. Thanks for buying t-shirts. It's not you. It's words. I'll be back somewhere. And next week, I'm home, navigating this world. And then I do go to Salt Lake City Wise Guys, which I found out Saturday is the home opener for the Utah Utes. And if it's during the day, maybe I could go. Maybe I could throw out the first pitch. I know sports. I know football. You don't throw a first pitch. What would I do? What do they do how do they, I don't think you can honor people. Not that I deserve, but I think I could work my way into throwing the first pitch out at like a minor league game, but a Utah, I don't think I went to a game last year and it was very, very fun. But yeah. And then I'm in Irvine, California, Ontario, California, Appleton, Wisconsin, Janesville, Wisconsin. So I'll be I'll be similar to being on the road a lot again. A little break now, but that's okay. Let's read some from the book, huh? Oh yeah, this was something that happened tonight. Jack, the best, right? We've all voted, no? I try to do a thing to wind him down, which I might have brought up before, but I'm gonna stop saying that because we all know we've said some of this. We might have touched on some of this before, but maybe not. I thought it'd be a good idea a while ago to like help out with sleep. I could just like calm him down a little bit, casually, secretively. That's how I want to teach him stuff. Is like by I want him to feel like it's by accident. So he's taking a bath or whatever, and we get him out, and he's getting pajamas on and stuff. And I'm like, hey, Jack, would you rather fall asleep in, what did I say? I don't want to forget it. One of them was like in a mountaintop where you can see the trees and you can hear the crickets, and you fall asleep slowly to the crickets and the waving of the leaves in the mountain. Or would you rather fall asleep on a soft cloud? It was something like that. And he was like, I'd rather fall asleep on a cloud. And then he was like, Dad, would you rather fall asleep with hot lava or sharp nails pointing at you and being sharp at you? And I thought that was very special. I didn't want to fall asleep then. And we just kept doing that. I was like, would you rather have this nice, comfortable thing or this other nice, very calming thing? And he's like, it's too hard to pick. I was like, you can have both. And he's like, oh, both. And then he was like, would you rather have no nose or no hair? Nose. Well, then you can't smell. I was aware. I know what it does. Anyway. Yeah. So how are you guys? That's the big question. I wanted to know. Would you go back to college? I think all of it, I don't think all of it looks fun. Like I had a hard job. I had hard jobs in college during the summers to help pay for school. And I've never once, never, ever, ever, I used to think that if you looked back at your life, no matter how hard a situation was, you would miss it at some point. You'd be like, oh, I wish I got to do that again. And I think there might be parts of it that are special, but I've never done that for a couple of things. Like there was one time where I had a job where I worked in a factory for 30 days. Because at 31 days, you have to join the union and they can bump you. And they wanted to bump me to like second or third shift. And I was starting school anyway. And I was going to be a professional athlete. No, I did want to play baseball in college. And I was thinking about sports recently with kids. Here it is. Okay. Just don't go away. Because I've never heard anybody say this like this. And I am trying to stall because I think that might be more interesting than what I'm saying. No, like I was thinking about this. So if you play sports, right, and it's your dream and your parents are supportive, right? That's fantastic. But if they're supportive of that, then they're going to have to support, like they're going to have to be like, I believe in you. You're great. Yeah, go do that. Yeah, go do that. Yeah, go do that. And you're not going to be able to like have as many jobs during the summer, or maybe you are, but they're not going to pay as much. And maybe you're not going to be able to like learn certain things, like how to play the piano or something. And we're all kind of like in on this thing that, and here's the bummer, that might not work out to become a professional athlete. And I think that's like a weird trick that life does to people. Because as a parent, you want to be supportive and you want to be like, yeah, go do whatever. But also, like, we're almost building you up for disappointment at whatever age it happens. You know, like I still play. I don't believe anymore, but I still play. Um, and I'm too old. You know, every professional athlete is younger than me except LeBron. No, LeBron's younger than me. Um, but not bowlers. I bet there's some bowlers that are older than me. But like, you got to give it to this thing, right? And you feed it, and then that's your thing, and that's what you do, and that's how you identify. But then when that thing goes away, then that's kind of when life begins again, you know, because having played, I mean, football might be different, but having played like a lot of competitive sports and then played afterward, like playing a intramural game or a pickup game is also competitive. You know, like I don't think kids are shown that like playing at lower levels is also really fun and maybe more healthy because you're not constantly like um I don't know, working the same muscles and probably could get hurt. Like I've heard Alex Rodriguez talk about how like playing other sports is really good. So I don't think, also I think the people who are like really good at sports, they don't feel like they need to play all the time, and that has to be their life. I think they are just great, and opportunities just come towards them. And but I could be wrong. Maybe if your kid's like really good and they want to get to a better Division 1 school or something, I don't know. I don't really. But I'm just saying, like I was thinking for myself, like if my son isn't into sports, totally fine, and like we'll be active and it'll be fun. But what a great gift that you can be like older when you discover the thing that you want to like really reach for. That's like a dream, you know? And maybe this is knowledge that everyone already had, and already knows, but like if you can sort of do something as a dream that's not sports, then your world might be um, different than the professional athlete, but also like maybe I'm not gonna say richer because they are wealthy, but like uh, it might go away you didn't plan on it going. Is this me still recovering from the idea that I couldn't play professional sports? No, I never. There was never. When I was a freshman in high school, maybe there was some sort of glimmer of like I was ahead. Um, but then it went away, right away. I feel like that. I don't know. It's also like I feel like that with stand up sometimes. It's like, I mean, it's my job, but like if you look at where you are with the people when they were there, you know, at one point we were all together, um with how we sold tickets or whatever and how we were as stand ups. And then at some point some people went a certain way and some people didn't. And like how do you cope? How do you bounce back? How do you The good part about stand up is I'm not gonna like age out of it athletically. Like maybe in the industry there's not as much a demand if you get older, but that's also not super true. Um but like how do you I know that I don't think it matters is what I'm trying to say. I don't think it matters what other people do or where you're at. And I think coming to terms with that is the best part. Because if you're really just trying to be happy, you can be happy being a surgeon. I love it that like surgeon was my backup idea. Oh yeah. Okay, so let's see what's in here. This is seeing what we're doing here. Music. Um That was a joke. So I used to talk about Christmas. If you listen to my new special, He's Friendly, there's a joke about Christmas. And it's on YouTube. It's on the tube. You can watch it on the tube where I'm like doing stand up. Like it's great. And it is. It's really like I feel like if you this is a challenge. This is not for me. This is for it's for me. But like if you were to watch my special and then watch a special that someone who's well known, I think it stands. I think it's up. I think it's fine. I think it's fine. I'm not saying it's better. I'm not saying I deserve any or whatever. But if you've gone this far in the podcast, you're probably interested in like the show, you know. But if you were to watch my He's Friendly special and then watch someone else's special, who you like, everybody knows, or watch like theirs first and then mine, I think you'd be fine. I think like there's no way of knowing that. Like in sports, why am I stuck on sport? But like if I thought I was better than a professional basketball player, like I could just go play basketball somewhere and just beat everybody till I got there. Or with baseball or football, like you could just sort of beat everybody until someone's like, "We're not moving you on." And you're like, "No, I'm better than." Then you're on. But in stand up, it's like maybe that's what it is too. If everyone's really good, you just got to kind of be there. I'm not saying I'm better. I'm just saying you can watch it and be like, "This is there." This is where I think that's partially the way it was shot. Stephen Haas did a great job. Okay, so I talk about Christmas in my special because as an adult my parents asked me for what I wanted for Christmas, and then they got me a gift card, which it's just like if you're gonna ask me what I want, you could have just given me the gift. Like it was a Visa gift card too. It was just they were like, "What do you want for Christmas?" And I thought about it. I like wrote it down because my mom doesn't check her email, and like I texted it. I took a picture, and like it wasn't like I was trying to be like I need stuff for Christmas. They were like, you know how it is when you have kids. You want to give when everyone's together. You want to give. I was giving them an idea, you know, and then they just got me a Visa gift card, and I was like, well, now you just really it's just insulting. You didn't even go. It's just you know. Um, and so um, this is a part of that didn't end up on the special because it wasn't getting laughs. So really what I'm saying is watch the special and stop listening now because this part this is like a bonus part of a joke that's on the special that didn't make it through a lot of shows because it wasn't. You'll see how little laughter there is in this part. You'll get those ears sharpened because you're gonna hear cricket. You're not gonna hear crickets. I should open the window see if I can get crickets in here. Okay, so the whole thing is this is the setup. My parents ask me what I want for Christmas. I tell them, and then they give me a Visa gift card. And it's not like I asked for like difficult stuff either. It wasn't like, you know, it was like a notebook, jean. You know, it was like jeans. We can't get jeans. You know, and so in response to the Visa gift card, one thing I could have said, one way I could have been like, if this was just for fun, I would have written a whole letter. Dear Santa, I've done my best to be really good. Ask anyone except people I've dated. I'm a good guy, but some people have their own problems. They bring them to the relationship. Not that I also wasn't good around them. See, that's there. It's just that if they found out I was writing a letter to Santa as an adult, it would definitely confirm a lot of the problems they suspected with me in the first place. See, that's there's no reason why to not include that in the special, other than the fact that it didn't land. Maybe it's just the time. Sometimes, and this is just a dream. This is just not a fever dream, but like I feel like if you put things away, right? You make them, and then you put them away, and then come back to them in a very relaxed atmosphere of a podcast. I'm gonna put a check next to this one so we don't cover this next week. The podcast did maybe you can see it through the way you saw it the very first time. And when you see something the very first time, again, it's not the first time anymore. It's like the second or third or 20th. You've seen it so many times, but now you see it through those eyes and they don't have all the judgment, you know? Like if you were a baseball coach, right? Sometimes that's how I look at jokes. Like you have a lineup and you have a guy who you think is really good and a guy you think is also really good. And then some guys you'll put them in later. And that's how I think jokes are. Like sometimes I see a joke and I'm like, that's the best joke in the set. It's gonna bat third, whatever. And then sometimes I see a joke and I'm like, maybe that is a really good joke. I just don't believe that it is a good joke. This joke doesn't always kill from the very beginning. In the end, it does. But I think me believing in it keeps it in. So that's what I'm talking about. Is like if I could look, this isn't about me anymore. This is you. If you could look at everything you do, like so Pat O'Brien, not the TV show host, Pat O'Brien, also known as POB, he was a great improv teacher. When I took classes at IO in Chicago, before it crumbled and then we rebuilt, I got sorry, that was a whole commercial break. Sponsored by The Letter, by the Action Sneeze. Someone sneezed during my show, and I was just waiting for it, because I have a joke about sneezing. And when I just get into it, when I'm like, I think sneezing's weird, people are just like, we don't, okay. But when someone sneezed first, and then I said, bless you, and then I was like, sneezing's weird, people reacted better. So if I could just recruit some sneezers, don't come to the show and sneeze on purpose. It's got to feel natural. People will feel it. Anyway, I didn't sneeze. No, what was I saying? Michael Patrick O'Brien now, who created the show, The Substitute Teacher or something. No, this is so horrible. It was about a science teacher, the guy from I feel like a parent now. The guy from The Thing that was in The Thing, the guy from It's Always Sunny, was in this show. I'm going to think of the show right after we're done. But he was also on Saturday Night Live. Very funny. But when I had him as a teacher, no one knew that he was just like a 20-something guy. And everyone wanted this other teacher to teach improv level 3. Because the other teacher was on Second City main stage, which was like, in Chicago, that was the job. That was the only improv job other than teaching, and everyone wanted that job. So if you were there, you were there. It didn't mean you were gonna get bigger things, but it meant you did things really well so far. So everyone wanted that class, and that class didn't filled up or whatever. And this one worked out with my time. And also, I kind of believe in like, if someone's doing a job right, they're probably good at it. You go to like a walk-in place for medicine or doctors, and like it's a simple procedure, and you're like, I don't know, I broke my wrist one time. And I went to a walk-in place because I didn't know it was broken. They x-rayed it, and then I ended up going to the same sort of connected brand hospital to fix it. I'm like, they know how to do this. You can really overthink it sometimes. Like, who am I to know so much where I need this person who's like so celebrated to teach me? Like when I went to college at Xavier, there was like 3 professors that wrote a book on theology, and they were all great. I'm sure they were all great professors. But I had a teacher that didn't write a book, and he was the best. And even those teachers said that he was the best. And Dr. Goller, everyone was like, he's the Cadillac, which to a professor that's older, that's like really good. And he was great. Kind of expected a lot reading wise. We had to read Malcolm X in like very short amount of time. And as an English major, we didn't read a lot really fast. You read it and you thought about it, and then you did it, and then you were like, I'm not going to med school. But you could. English majors could go. So, what was I talking about? Oh yeah. So we went to his class, right? First day class. His 2 friends. I think they'd be okay if I said their names. Jet and Holly, who were on the same team, improv team with him, came in like, you guys are really lucky, which is a great way to start class. And Pat always played music before class, and that was really nice. And he was saying that when it came to a rehearsal or a show, this is very performance heavy, I guess now. Earlier it was parent heavy. So if that was your thing, this is your, most of this podcast is apologizing for itself. No, it is great. No, he said one teacher told him, this is like secondhand advice, Mick Napier, was like, what if every day when you go into rehearsal or to write a joke or write a book or do surgery, every time you go to do surgery, um, you're like, what if today is the best day so far? I think he said ever, but I like so far because you want to, like, what if today I'm at my best? Like, what if today's the day where I come up with the idea, where I do the big thing? And he said that, like, just approaching the moment like that opens you up to maybe do it. And maybe it's not going to be the best, but maybe it could. Maybe it could be. And I think that's like when you have old stuff that you revisit, you're like, I think I got a little hard on it because I was a little bit like, you're not hitting right now. And instead of every chance you, if you are a comedian, listen to this, every chance you perform a joke, maybe today's the day that it hits better than ever, and you find a way to say it that hits the best stuff. Like I've definitely had jokes that like I was like, this is the joke. This is why I thought of it. And then I did the joke and I thought of something else, and that became the part that was funny. And the part that I wrote was just like, well, you can keep saying it if you want to. Like I have a joke, it's on social media. It's about parents who travel with their kids for sports, as we were talking about. And the joke that I wrote first was about this sign I saw in the hotel hallway that was advertising this kid's sports. And I just thought that was kind of weird because you're telling strangers where the kids sleep. And I was like, that's weird. The parents are so excited to do that. This is a hotel. We're all strangers. Don't talk. And then it just went from there. But then one show I started the joke out by saying like, um, how that world is so different from mine. Like I didn't live in a world where we were ever going to travel. My parents were ever going to take me out of the city or the state to pursue an athletic thing. And that's what I think a lot of the world is relating to right now. Is like there's this whole business on travel athletics that if you love it, that's great. But I don't think anybody should feel pressure because coming from someone who is, not in their prime, but I play against other competitive people my age, like I'm right with them, not the pros, but like right up there. And I never really traveled. I just did a lot. Anyway, so what if we give ourselves the permission? Nah, this is inspirational. No, but what if we do? What if you do? The what if now? What if this is the best ending to any podcast I've ever done? That bar is so high. I don't know how I'm gonna jump over the ending of the podcast bar, but this could be it. This could be the best wrap up. I could be like so like he said rather than saying like um but yeah. My son starts school on Thursday, and I did this just for you. I could have went to sleep because I was like, tomorrow's my day where I don't take a nap because he doesn't start school. But I did this. I did it it was for me. It was. I hope thank you for listening. I appreciate it. But I feel good too talking. I feel good talking